He had been principal of the same high school for 30 years. Students found him boring and strict, until a student found a Purple Heart medal while cleaning in the principal's office and learned that this quiet educator was one of the greatest heroes of the Iraq War. Welcome to Living Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be remembered, hit that subscribe button and help us keep these voices alive. Jefferson High School was one of Cleveland, Ohio's largest high schools. 2,400 students, 150 teachers, and dozens of problems typical of an American high school. And for 15 years, the principal of this school had been the same person, Robert Bob Anderson. 52 years old, medium height, always wearing a suit, combing his gray hair neatly. Every morning he would be at school exactly at 7 a.m., never late. Students never liked him. "Mr. Anderson's like a robot," said 11th grade student Jessica Martinez. "He never smiles, never jokes, just rules, rules, rules." 17-year-old Tyler Brooks agreed. "The man has no emotions. Last year when my dad got cancer, he just said, 'Sorry, but you've reached your absence limit.'" Indeed, Principal Anderson was strict. He showed no tolerance for tardiness, accepted no excuses for homework, and applied school rules to the letter. Even teachers were a bit intimidated by him. "I've been working here for 15 years, said English teacher Mrs. Sarah Coleman. "Bob is a good principal, but very distant. He never talks about himself, never discusses his personal life." It was true. Anderson never wore a wedding ring, never talked about family. No one knew what he did on weekends. He just did his job and went home. But observant students would notice some strange things. For example, Anderson always used the stairs, never the elevator. In narrow corridor corners, he would always lean against the wall, never expose his back to open space. He also acted strangely when students fought. He would reach the scene within seconds and control the situation. His movement was very fast, very precise, very professional. "There was a big fight last week," 12th grade student Marcus Washington told. "Two kids pulled knives. I don't know where Mr. Anderson came from or how he did it, but he neutralized both of them in 5 seconds. Physical education teacher Coach Davis had also noticed. Bob's posture is different. He constantly scans the surroundings, hears every sound, as if he's expecting danger. But the strangest thing was Anderson's office. There were no personal belongings, no family photos, no diplomas, no memorabilia. Just a clean desk, a few files, and a locked drawer. That drawer had never been opened for 15 years. Only Anderson had the key. It was a cold Friday in October. Students had left early. Teachers were in a meeting. Anderson was also at a meeting outside. The school was almost empty. 18-year-old Emma Chen was the student council president. That day, she needed to organize some documents in the principal's office. She was going to get permission forms for the graduation committee. Emma entered Anderson's office. As always, it was sterile, cold, impersonal. She started looking through the documents. The papers she needed were in the top drawer. But just then, she accidentally touched the bottom drawer. It was locked, but had loosened a bit due to age. It opened slightly. Emma's heart raced. She knew she shouldn't, but curiosity won. She slowly opened the drawer. Inside were an old photograph, a shattered body armor, a medal, and a bloody letter. Emma froze. The photograph was black and white, a young soldier in military uniform in a desert setting. The face looked familiar, but she couldn't be sure. The body armor was shattered. There were shrapnel holes, burn marks, soil, and bloodstains were still visible. But the most surprising thing was the medal, purple ribbon with a heart-shaped medal underneath. Purple Heart was written on it. The letter in Emma's hand was old, folded. In the top corner was the U.S. Army logo. She opened it and read, "Staff Sergeant Robert Anderson, 2nd Battalion, 1st Infantry Division, Iraq Theater of Operations, 2005. Recommendation for Purple Heart Medal. On November 15, 2005, during Operation Steel Curtain in Fallujah, Staff Sergeant Anderson was severely wounded by improvised explosive device while attempting to rescue wounded personnel. Despite multiple shrapnel wounds, he successfully evacuated 8 soldiers from the blast zone. Emma's breath caught. Principal Anderson, was he a soldier? Emma immediately closed the drawer and left the office, but her mind was there. That evening when she got home, she immediately started researching on the internet. She typed, "Robert Anderson, Iraq War, Purple Heart." Dozens of links appeared. The first link was a news site. Local Iraq War veteran honored for heroism. In the photo, young Anderson was seen in military dress uniform, receiving a medal. The second link was more detailed. Fallujah hero saves 8 lives under fire. As Emma read the article, her eyes filled with tears. Anderson had served in Iraq when he was 25. In 2005, during the Fallujah operation, he was severely wounded in an IED explosion. But despite being wounded, he had evacuated 8 friends from the blast zone. Shrapnel had been removed from his leg. His left ear had lost 60% of its hearing ability. He had been diagnosed with PTSD, and after returning from war, he had moved into education. Monday morning, Emma came to school early. First, she found her closest friend, Jessica. "Jess, I'm going to tell you something very strange." "What happened?" "About Mr. Anderson. He's a war hero." Jessica laughed. "Ha ha ha, you're so funny, Emma. That robot man a hero?" "I'm serious. He fought in the Iraq War. He has a Purple Heart medal." Emma told everything she had seen. Jessica's face gradually became serious. Is this real?" "I researched it on the internet. Everything is true." Throughout the day, the news spread. Tyler, Marcus, others, everyone started looking at Mr. Anderson with different eyes. "So that's why he's so disciplined?" Tyler asked. "That's why he intervenes so quickly in fights," Marcus said, but no one dared to ask Anderson directly. Wednesday lunchtime, Emma gathered courage and went to Anderson's office. The principal was signing documents at his desk. "Mr. Anderson, can I talk to you?" "Sure, Emma. Is it about the graduation committee?" "No, sir. A more personal matter." Anderson put down his pen and looked at Emma. That sharp, careful look. "I'm listening." "Sir, last Friday your drawer accidentally opened." Anderson's face didn't change, but his body language tensed. "Which drawer?" "The bottom drawer, the locked one." A long silence. Anderson stood up, walked toward the window. "What did you see, Emma?" "I saw the Purple Heart medal and the body armor." Anderson took a deep breath. "And what are you going to do with this information now?" "Nothing, sir. I just want to understand who you are." Anderson looked out the window for a long time. Then he turned and looked directly at Emma. "Yes, I fought in Iraq. 2003 to 2006, 2 deployments. Why did you never mention it?" "Because the past should stay in the past. I'm an educator now, not a soldier." "But that medal, you're a hero." "No, Emma," Anderson said harshly. "I'm not a hero. I just did my job." "But you saved 8 people, and I lost 3 people." Silence. Anderson closed his eyes. "I see them every night, Emma, the friends I couldn't save. That's why I never talk about it." Emma's eyes filled. "Sir, we always thought you were cold, but actually, I'm just trying to survive and keep you safe." After that conversation, Emma started seeing Anderson completely differently. His strictness now appeared not as coldness, but as protection. She also told her friends, and gradually, the whole school changed. "Now I understand why he's so strict," Tyler said. "He's protecting us." "It's like we're his mission," Jessica said, "just like he used to protect his soldiers." Students started behaving differently toward Anderson, more respectful, more understanding, but Anderson still behaved the same way. Until that day came. It was the last week of November. School was in its normal routine, but at lunchtime, alarm sounds were heard. Lockdown! Lockdown. This is not a drill. An armed intruder had entered the school. In the main corridor, he was threatening students. Police hadn't arrived yet. Teachers were trying to lock classrooms. But some students were in the corridors. Emma, Tyler, and Jessica were caught in the main corridor. The intruder looked crazy. He had a large knife in his hand, anger in his eyes. "I'm going to kill you," he was shouting. And just then, Anderson appeared. Anderson approached silently. No panic, no hurry, just like in Fallujah 15 years ago. "Sir, drop the knife," he said in a calm voice. "Get away from here. I'll kill you too." "No, you won't." Anderson's voice had changed. It was no longer the principal's voice. It was the warrior's voice. The intruder tried to attack, but Anderson moved with 40 years of experience. In 3 seconds, he took the knife, put the man down, controlled him. "Emma, Tyler, go to the safe zone, now." At that moment, the students saw. This wasn't Anderson. This was Staff Sergeant Anderson. When police arrived, everything was over. Anderson had controlled the intruder. No one was injured. After that incident, the school completely changed. Anderson was now seen not just as a principal, but as a guardian. Students started treating him differently. Respect, but not fear. Appreciation, but not distance. Emma talked to him one day. "Mr. Anderson, thank you, not just for that day, but for every day." "Why, Emma?" "Because you're our guardian angel, but we couldn't see it for 15 years. Anderson smiled. He really smiled for the first time. "I'm just doing my job, Emma. I used to protect my soldiers. Now I protect my students." "So why do you hide your Purple Heart?" "Because that's not my real pride," Anderson said. "My real pride is seeing you graduate safely." Today, Robert Anderson still works as principal at Jefferson High School. Still the same discipline, same rules. But now students understand that this strictness comes from love. That Purple Heart medal still sits in the drawer. But it's no longer secret. Because Anderson learned that true heroism can be lived not only on the battlefield, but also in school corridors. And most importantly, students learned that sometimes the strictest teacher is actually the most protective one. Sometimes the person who seems coldest is actually the one who has suffered the most. Anderson taught us this: everyone has a story. Everyone has a war they're fighting. And sometimes the strongest people are those who silently carry their pain. So have you ever encountered someone like Robert Anderson? Someone who seems strict but is actually protective? Share their names in the comments. Tell their stories. Because at Living Stories, we believe that the most powerful stories don't shout, they wait. The most valuable people aren't flashy, they're real. If this story moved you, subscribe and share. Help the voices of hidden heroes like Robert Anderson be heard. Until we meet in the next story. And remember, if you encounter a strict principal at your school, look at them with a little more understanding. Maybe under that strictness, there's a silent struggle to protect you.